Hello.
Hari Om.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Can you see me?
No.
Not yet.
Not yet. I was trying something with the external camera that didn't work. Okay, now you should be able to.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. You're wearing a nice shirt.
I may have to adjust a little bit. It's not the right height. Okay. That shirt must be 10 years old, Premji.
It's okay. The old is gold.
Hari Om, Jagdisha ji.
Hari Om, Hari Om. Okay, let's wait for a minute. Okay, our 2 minutes are up. Shall we start with the prayers? One of you can unmute, maybe Banu and Rajesh. I see only 3 people's name there. Let me see multiple. Okay. Let's start with the prayers. Om Agajanana Padmarkam Gajanana Maharnisham Anekadam Samdhattanam Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Sahavikkaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastuma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, let us start with the 2 new prayers. Okay, let me go on the presentation mode. Okay, so we are going to introduce 2 new prayers today, which is specific to the grammar. So I will, because these are new for most of the people, this is the last 2 of these starting prayers, Vakyakaram and Maheshwara Sutras. Some of you may be already familiar with both of these, who have attended the maybe 5-week camp. Some of the courses are familiar with this. But for some others, this may be totally new prayers. So I will go quarter by quarter. You can repeat. So I'm looking at the names. I can see only 5 people. Chandu Guntkala, can you unmute so that we can chant together? And Arun Swami.
Yeah.
Yeah, to unmute.
Okay.
I don't want too many, because there may be a noise. And I will read these 2 prayers. You can see on the screen, right? You see my cursor? That is for 5th one. Okay. So I will go quarter by quarter. You just repeat. Vakyakaram Vararuchim.
Vakyakaram Vararuchim.
Bhashyakaram Patanjalim.
भाष्यकारं पतञ्जलिं
पाणिनिं सूत्रकारं च
पाणिनिं सूत्रकारं च
प्रणतोऽस्मि मुनित्रयम्.
प्रणतोऽस्मि
मुनित्रयम्.
Okay. See, the next one is Maheshwara Sutra. We have seen a slide about that in our discussions. And there are quite a few people joined after that. I don't know whether you are one of them. But this we will chant this. This is the Maheshwara Sutra, 14 of them. We will chant one by one. Atha Maheshwarani Sutrani
अथ माहेश्वराणि सूत्राणि
Ayivun
ऐ उन्
Rilrik
ऋक्
Evong
एवं
ओन्
I ouch
ऐ औच्
Hayavarat
ऐवरट्
Lan
लण्
Nyamangananam
न्यमणनमम्
Jhabhanya
झभन्
Ghadadash
घड़दश
गडदश्
Jabagadash
जबगड़द
गडधश्
Kapha Chatata Chatatav.
कप चटत
छटथ
Okay. Now here in this one, long one, the first 5 are Mahapranas. The next 3 are Alpa Pranas. Okay, that is why I gave you a little pause between them. Okay. Kapha Chatata Chatatau
कप चटत
छटथ छटतौ
Kapai
कपै
Shasasar
शससर्
Hal
हल्
Iti Maheshwarani Sutrani.
इति महेश्वर
माहेश्वराणि सूत्राणि.
Okay, so we have studied this briefly, and we are going to do that again when we get into the textbook. So we will make these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as our starting prayers. Okay, I didn't want to start with the last 2 till we are introduced to this. The 5th prayer is our salutations to the 3 rishis who are responsible for writing the things on grammar for us. That is the Panini who wrote the sutras, and Vararuchi or Katyayana, he has 2 names. He is the one who wrote the Vartikas, and then Patanjali who wrote the Bhashyas. Because of these Patanjali Bhashyas, we could understand what Panini meant from the sutras. That is why we have to salute, as a tradition, we salute these 3 great grammarian rishis. Okay. Yeah, with just 2 people unmuting, we can see some echoes. That is the reason why we don't want everybody on unmute. Something else came up during the week after our last class. There are people who are suggesting, I think it's a good suggestion in a way, that they're suggesting that it is better if we don't have the question and answer or the interruptions in the middle of the class. So the suggestion is that you continue, or I continue with the class, and if I am asking for a response, then I will pause and ask. But for any of the students to ask a question, hold it till the end. Maybe we will end the class at 50 minutes and keep the last 10 minutes for question and answer, so that there are no interruptions. Because the people who have the question may think that it is get it cleared, but for most others it is a smooth flow till then, and then they have to come back because of the interruption. So whoever has the question, just note it down somewhere. This is the question, and ask it at the end. Is that okay with all? Because otherwise, this parallel to that, they say that in the ashram, most of us are ashram class students also, where during the classes there are no interruptions. and there is a question and answer session at the end of the day as satsang, where anybody, the whole session on our session is for question and answer. So they are suggesting that let's, it will be less interruptive that way, so that we can continue for the whole 50 minutes and then keep the 10 minutes for question and answer. And whoever has a question, just note it down somewhere to ask that at the end of the class. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
good.
Yes.
It's a good idea.
Okay. Now let's go to where we stopped. So we have just 1 or 2 more slides left in the slideshow. And it's better for the speaker also when the divert for answering a question, then you tend to say, oh, where were we? So that question won't be there. Okay. So we had some lighter vein things, and the riddles and some jokes and some serious shlokas also in the last class. And this may be the only slide where you come across any jokes or lighter vein. So that is the only chance for you to enjoy and look at the Saṁskṛta, the humor side of the Saṁskṛta language. Because when we get into the textbook, it is all technical and grammar. As Swami Tevis says, like accumulation of knowledge. So we learn new things, but there won't be any chances of, or there will hardly be any chances of laughing at something or having a chuckle. Those occasions are fewer. That is why last class was the one chance we had that this one specific slide was the only chance where we had some, the lighter moments to laugh at something. And my idea of showing that is not to crack jokes or anything, but just to say that Saṁskṛta as a language contains all kinds of things. Even the lighter things are available there, even though our class is mainly concentrated on the serious grammar. Okay, having done that, any questions on the sessions till now? So if you have any questions, you can unmute and ask, because I'm pausing for that, so it's not an interruption.
I have a question. This is Ram.
Yeah.
It's not completely related. I'm going in the history. Is there any reason that Saṁskṛtam stopped being a common language for India? I mean, spoken language in India. Do they know this?
I don't know. I didn't look up for that, and maybe we have been ruled by foreign people, influence of other languages from the northwest and from the western countries. So that may be one of the reasons why Sanskrit was on decline over the few centuries. And then I didn't expect the question, so I don't have the right answer. And all these things, if you Google a few keyword questions like this, you'll get all kinds of information.
Okay, thank you.
Both for and against. Like some people might say it is good that it is weakened, or some people might say we are losing such a nice language, at least as a percentage of population who are familiar with that. Okay?
Thank you.
Right. So let's go to the next. What do we have here? Okay. So when we are done with this whole course, like all the 3 Medhaji's books, the hope for me is that the students will be able to decipher, say, given a shloka, a simple shloka, maybe in Anustubh, maybe something like a simple subhashita, then they can read that, understand that, and translate that, and will be in a position to explain what it means in another language, say English. That is the objective of a class like this. Okay, this is the basic objective, so that you can read a shloka, read in the sense, the fluently read, no need for by-hearting, and then do certain steps to understand and be in a position, if you have to explain, say, your son and daughter or kids at home or somebody else who is interested, to get into that stage. The hope is that, or the objective of the course is to get into that kind of capability. And we have done that because I had taken this, taught this course for a smaller, informal group of students 2 times. All the 3 books. Okay, and it took about 3 years or about 150 classes. That is why we are saying here also it will be maybe about 1.5 years, because we are meeting 2 times a week. Earlier time, whenever I took this course 2 times, they were once a week course. And all those students are in a position now to, if I give them a subhashita, then they can step by step analyze that and understand it. And if they have a little problem with the certain words or things, they can consult some dictionaries or some resources, websites, and understand the shloka for themselves without anybody else helping them. Okay, so these two slides are the steps that discuss this, how to analyze the shloka, what are the different steps. And I do that one as a worked example for one of the prayer verses we already used. Okay, so this is just an example. You will come across some terminologies on this, like some sandhis, some samāsas, some samasa names. All those things are given as an illustration, like a worked example. At the end of the course, after 150 hours or whatever the duration of the course it takes, the hope is that you'll be, each of you, if you put enough effort and seriousness into the class, will get into that kind of a capability. So these steps, like if you're given a shloka, maybe a Gita shloka, there are some established steps for studying those. So those steps are listed in this slide here. Okay, so let's go one by one. So the first step is padacheda. Okay, when a shloka is given, say Agajanana Padmarkam Gajanana Maharnisham, just half the shloka. Okay, so Agajanana Padmarkam, it is one word. Then Gajanana Maharnisham, we pronounce them together, but it is made up of 2 words, Gajananam Aharnisham. Okay, so padacheda needs some understanding of sandhi, where to break and where not to break. Okay, that knowledge is essential for padacheda. So to be able to make proper padacheda, you should know the sandhi. So sandhi is the major part of the volume 2, the book we are going to start with. Okay, so the sandhi will help in padacheda. Padacheda is breaking the sandhi into words. In the verse form, sandhis generally will be joined, words will be joined. So breaking the words where they can be broken. And after that, the second step is knowing each of the word. That is called padaparichaya or padapravara. Okay, certain all the words have their own characteristics. There may be, there will be noun words, verb words, and indeclinables. Okay, so noun words have their own parichaya. Parichaya is like when we say our name, I am so and so, son I am so and so, and address this, and phone number this, all those things. like that, the verb words will have what a pratipadika is, what the pratipadika ending is, the gender, and which vibhakti and which number. That is the pada parichaya. All these things we will do as an example in the next slide. Okay. And if it's a verb word, then as we talked about in the last class, in the last two classes, a verb word will have a dhatu and might have a upasarga or may not have an upasarga or the prefix. And then the dhatus are classified into two different kinds. We haven't come to that yet. We will come to that in book 1. And then we at least talked about the lakara, which is the tense. Okay. And this prayoga. Prayoga is active voice or passive voice. Because this is exactly same, which is kartari prayoga and karmani prayoga. Active voice and passive voice in English. It is there and it's very well known. And lakara, which is a tense. Then purusha. Purusha is, which is, does the word mean I or we, or does it mean he or you? That thing. Okay. First person, second person, third person. And vachanam. Vachanam is whether singular, plural, or dual. So that will be the pada parichaya for a verb word. And an avyayam, which is the easiest one, it doesn't have any details. It is avyaya, indeclinable. So it is, you just have to say, okay, this is an avyaya. There is nothing more to it. Okay, and then the next step in understanding any shloka is get the meaning of each of the words. Once you get the pada parichaya for each of those words, what is the meaning in that verse for that word? Okay, that meaning can be in English or in Saṁskṛta also. Now here, because our medium of instruction is English, we'll have the meaning in English. Okay. So this is padartha or pratipadartha. Pratipadartha just means that meaning of each word. Then akanksha. This akanksha is, to understand any verse word, you will have to change it into a prose order, because in the verse, words will be rearranged. This is true in any language. Words will be rearranged to fit the meter and a certain number of words per line and all those things. So you will have to rearrange the word sequence into a prose order, from verse order to a prose order. Okay, that process is called anvaya-racanā. So for a given verse, rearranged in a prose form, the prose form will be called anvaya. And there are some procedures for how to rearrange the words. Once you see an example, you will understand that. Okay. So anvaya-racanā, divide the words into however many sentences depending on the verb words. Identify the primary verb and in each sentence, and relate all other words into this verb. In any sentence, I think it is true in any language, but it is definitely so in Saṁskṛta. The most important word in a sentence is the verb. Okay. Because everything else is related to the verb or whatever the action intended, indicated by the verb word. So to make anvaya, you find out which is the verb word and go on asking the question. Okay, go on asking the question or what? So, okay, verb word indicates an action. So the thing is, suppose the verb word ends with patati. Okay. He reads. That is the verb word. Let's start with that. Go on asking the questions. Whenever you say the word reads, the question comes, who reads? So there should be a word in the verse saying who is the person who is reading. Okay. And then next question is, okay, the boy, let's say the boy reads. Now the question comes, what does he read? So there should be an object word. Okay, boy reads a book. So something like that should be there in the verse. You have to identify that and put it as the second one. So you are just building up the sentence by filling it with the appropriate words found in the verse. Okay, so that process is called anvaya-racanā. And then you finally end up with the rearranged words in the prose order based on this question, series of questioning. So this akanksha or anvaya-racanā is that process of asking questions so that the words in the verse can be rearranged in a proper prose order. Okay, because prose is not restricted by any chandas or number of letters per line, and all those things are not there for prose. And prose is easier to understand, whereas verse is easier to remember and chant or sing. So once you rearrange the words into a prose form in sentences, then you can give the tatparyam, overall understanding of the verse in either Saṁskṛtam or in English. Now here, the medium of instruction is English, so tatparyam can be explained in English. Try using your own words, add any comments, anecdotes, life experience to strengthen that understanding, only if related. Okay, so this is tatparyam, will be in English, like the overall understanding or meaning in another language. The last step is the vyakaranam. To do all these things, the steps above, okay, padacheda, you have to know the sandhi. Padaparichaya, you have to know the details discussed in volume 1, like tiṅanatas and subantas, like kriyapadas and the nouns and verb words. Those are all covered in book 1. And meaning, we will understand as we go. Akanksha is just asking questions to enable rearrangement into prose order. Okay, and then tatparyam, the prose order, and use all the meanings given in the step 3. Use that to get the overall purport of the verse in prose form. For all of those things, you have to know the vyakarana behind it, and that is the reason why we are learning this course. So to be able to do that, but for all of them, you need vyakarana. Okay, so vyakarana covers sandhi in volume 2, samāsa in volume 3, and kṛdanta, taddhitāntas, all those things. We briefly mentioned that in that big flow chart. Okay, so all knowledge of all those things will be handy when you do the analysis of each step. Okay, so this is just the listing the steps. So let's try to put to use what we learned. Okay, so this is just an illustration. We haven't learned the grammar proper yet. What we had been doing till now is an introduction as what is there. So what I'm going to do here is we take one of our prayer verses, and that is the reason why I took that verse. Okay, Agajanana Padmarkam, Gajanana Maharnisham, Anekadantam Bhaktanam, Ekadantam Upasmahe. Very popular prayer shloka. Let's try to analyze and understand. Okay, at this stage, we may not be able to, but this is what we should be able to at the end of the class. So this is just to give you a flavor what we will be able to achieve at the end of this course. Okay, so the shloka is given here. It is a two-liner. It is in what is called Anushtubh meter. Anushtubh meter contains 8 aksharas per quarter or pada and 4 padas. You can see Agajanana Padmarkam, 8 aksharas, Gajanana Maharnisham, another 8, Anekadantam Bhaktanam, another 8 letters, and Ekadantam Upasmahe, another 8. So it is 8 times 4 quarters, 32 aksharas total. That is the characteristic of Anushtubh. And most of the things we study, whether it's Ramayana, Mahabharata, Gita, most of the Subhashitas, they're all in Anushtubh, which is a short and very popular meter. So first step is Padacheda, breaking the words. Okay. Now Agajanana Padmarkam, even though it is 8 letters, it is all one word. It's connected by samasa. We will look at how the word came about. Okay. Gajanana Padmarkam is one word. Okay, so there's nothing to break within that. Gajananamaharnisham. Now, Gajananamaharnisham is made up of two words, but no sandhi there. It is Gajananam Aharnisham. Okay, so second word Gajananam, third word Aharnisham. So these are the words found in the first line. Now this Anekadantam is Anekadam is one word and Tam is the another word. Okay, so even though it looks like one word here, it is made into one, looks like one because of the sandhi. So it has to be broken. When you break it, you'll get Anekadam, Tam, meaningful words, both of them. Okay. Then Bhaktanam Ekadantam Upasmahe. It is written as if it is one word, but it is made up of three words. Bhaktanam Ekadantam Upasmahe. Okay. So actually, in all of this, there's only one sandhi here. Anekadam, tam becoming Anekadantam. You can see the difference there. Otherwise, there is no sandhi. Now here you can see that Bhaktanam Ekadantam. You just connect this ma with the a will become me. Okay, like m and e becoming m me. Bhaktanam ek. Same thing here. M and u becoming mu. There's no sandhi process as such. So that is Padacheda, first step one. And then Pada Parichaya. Okay, Pada Parichaya. So the typical Pada Parichaya is Agajanana Padmarkam. Okay, so what is the ending letter of the Pratipadika? Now the Pratipadika is Agajanana Padmarka. Okay. How do I think there should be a highlighter option somewhere. Okay, there's the laser pointer. Okay, you can see the pointer?
Yes.
Okay. So here, the Pratipadika or the noun stem, Agajanana Padmarkam is a noun word. The noun stem is here Agajanana Padmarka. So the typical procedure is Akaranta Pullinga. Now you can see that Agajanana Padmarka. That sound ends with the a sound, Padmarka. So is Akaranta. Akaranta means ending in a. So Akaranta, and gender-wise, it is Pullinga. Okay, or masculine gender. So Akaranta Pullinga, Agajanana Padmarka Shabda. Then what vibhakti and what vachana? Okay, vibhakti is the case ending. Okay.
Jagadish, how do you know it's a Pullinga?
Okay, that you may have to refer to something. Okay, now this Arka, this is the last word there is Arka. Okay, Arka is sun.
Okay.
Surya. So Surya is Pullinga, right?
Okay.
Okay, so that is how it is. And we are going to analyze that Agajanana Padmarka because it is made up of a samasa pada with the three or more words in it. So we will analyze that further under the samasa again. Okay.
This is Ram. Could you repeat the rule that we had, that the questions will be, you'll give time for questions at the end of the session. I don't think everybody was here when you announced that.
Okay, so unless I ask a question, if you have a question to raise, then, earlier we used to have, the reactions or, I think the reactions and raise your hands and ask the question because of a lot of interruptions. So that way, if you have a question, then you can hold it till the end of the class, and maybe we will stop the class maybe 5 to 10 minutes before, and then leave the time for the questions at the end. Okay, just to reduce the interruptions. But sometimes in the middle of that, I wanted to get some reaction, so I might pause and ask for some reaction. It's not. This is the issue in all the Zoom and other classes. If it's a direct class, or at least part of the class is face to face, then this issue will not be there. But this is 100% remote class now. Okay.
Sure, Jagadish.
Okay. So the vibhakti, it is Agajanana Padmarkam Dvitiya Ekavachana, the second case, singular. Okay. Gajanana Padmarkam. Okay. Gajananam. So there should be a ga missing here. I have to fill that out. So Gajanana is again, let me do that now itself. So that I won't forget it. Copy and put a ga there. Okay, happy now. So Gajananam, another word. And in the first word, I gave the full description, Akaranta Pullinga and all that. And I'm trying to save space here. So in the second one, I just say Gajananam, Akaranta. This A here, I just for my own reference, it is Akaranta. Okay, there's a A, I italicized so that it is of Saṁskṛta. Masculine, so Akaranta Pullinga, Dvitiya Ekavachana. Dvitiya is second case, Dvitiya Vibhakti, one to show Ekavachanam. It's just a notation. You can have your own method, but this I find that this is pretty useful and saves time. So Gajananam is Akaranta Pullinga Gajanana Shabda, because it's Gajanana ends with A. That is why it's Akaranta Pullinga. And we know that Gajanana is a masculine. And the word found in the verse is used in Dvitiya Vibhakti or second case, Ekavachana. Okay, singular. Another next word is Aharnisham. So the one word done to third word, Aharnisham. Aharnisham is a Akaranta Napumsakalinga. Okay. And as somebody asked, how do we know the gender? A lot of times, because in Saṁskṛta, gender determination is a little different than most of the other languages, especially definitely different than what the genders assigned in English language. But there are a lot of similarities in the gender used in Saṁskṛta and in Hindi. Okay, so this is where some dictionary, you may have to refer to some dictionary. And 2 or 3 dictionaries, soft copies, and their websites are given there in the one of the subfolders in the Google Drive. Okay, so Aharnisham is the Aharnisha is the Pratipadika, Akaranta, and this is a Napumsakalinga. Okay, Aharnisham means day and night. Means always. Akaranta Napumsakalingva Dvitiya Ekavachanam. Again, Akaranta ending in A, Napumsakalinga. This N stands for neuter, M for masculine, and if there is a Strilinga, that will be F. Okay, that's the notation. Medhaji is in the textbook, and I also follow that because, see, it saves so much space. As you know what this letters mean, it saves so much space compared to expanded version. But you should know how to explain that. Okay, so Akaranta Napumsakalinga Aharnisha Shabda Dvitiya Ekavachanam. Anekadam. Again, Anekada Shabda ending with Akaranta. Anekada Shabda Akaranta Pullinga Pratama or Dvitiya Ekavachanam. Because most of these are adjectives to Ganesha. That is why they are all in Pullinga. Okay. Tam. Tam is a pronoun, okay, referring to Ganesha, but here it is a pronoun, like to him or unto him. So tam is a tad shabda, dakaranta sarvanama. It is a pronoun, dakaranta, because the shabda pratipadika is tad. Okay, in Dvitiya Vibhakti it will becomes tam, and you will learn all of this in volume 1, second book we are going to study. Okay, tad shabda, again pullinga, Dvitiya Ekavachana. I mentioned D here because it is dakaranta. Okay, bhaktanam. In bhaktanam, the pratipadika is bhakta. So akaranta pullinga, bhakta shabda, shashti bahuvachanam. So this is, you can see that akaranta pullinga, masculine pullinga, shashti, this is sixth case, and bahuvachanam. The first time you are seeing the sixth case indicated by 6, and bahuvachana is indicated by 3. So ekavachana is 1, dvivachana will be 2, and bahuvachana will be indicated by 3 as a shortcut method. Now this last word there, upasmahe, is a verb. It is not a noun. So its pada parichaya will be little different than all the noun words we talked about till now. Okay. So upasmahe. What is the dhatu? Dhatu is as. And it has a upasarga, prefix upa. So combined it will becomes dhatu will be upas. Okay. In the version, in the meaning of the worship or we meditate upon. The upasana is a type of meditation or meditate upon, like a mental worship. Okay. So as, and the verb is used, upas, that is the dhatu. Then mahe, the mahe indicates it is an active voice, kartari prayoga, lat lakara, or present tense, and uttama purusha bahuvachana. Uttama purusha is like we, bahuvachana. Okay. We all, upasmahe, and bahuvachana. Uttama purusha is indicated by Roman letter 1, and bahuvachana is 3. Okay. So this is the pada parichaya. All the words you obtain after doing the padacheda, you should be able to give the pada parichaya of all of these. So all this pada parichaya section will be covered in the book 1, verbs and nouns and avayas and all those. So step 2 will be covered in book 1, the second book we are going to cover. Then padartha and pratipadartha. Okay, so the meanings can be in English. Now agajanana padmarkam is a big word. So it needs almost a sentence to explain that. So we'll explain that in a little later. Okay, so hold on for that meaning because it's like a poetic explanation. So for that, we have to look at the samasa first, and then you can get the meaning better rather than I saying now. Okay, then Gajananam, that Gajanana, elephant-faced god, Aharnisham, day and night, every day, all the time. Anekadam, the one who gives everything, okay, whatever asked and limit more. Tam, to him, okay. Bhaktanam, of the people who surrender to him, or you know what bhakti is, who are devoted to him. Okay. Ekadantam, the one tusked. Ekadanta is one tusk. Ekadantam is to that god with the one tusk. Upasmahe, we meditate upon. Okay. So I didn't give this English meaning, so I verbally told. I'm trying to make it simpler or save space. Now, anvaya-racanā. We have the verse form above. We have to convert into sentence form or the prose form. And as I mentioned, the step is first identify which is the verb word. So as I mentioned, the verb word is upasmahe. So we worship or we meditate upon. So verb we is not given. But whenever the thing ends with mahe or it is uttama purusha bahuvachana, uttama purusha means we. Okay, that is all built into the little ending here, mahe ending. Okay, tells you that uttama purusha bahuvachana. So the vayam is the equivalent of we. Okay, so we worship. Upasmahe, kam upasmahe. Kam means whom. Okay, so the question asked in Sanskrita is kam upasmahe, whom do we worship? Okay, so the answer is tam gajananam, that gajanana. Okay, all these words are here given in the shloka and separated in the pada parichaya. Tam gajananam, that gajanana. Okay, then there's a lot of adjectives given in the words, because in when it's in the words form, there's a lot of explanation in terms of adjectives. Now that gajanana is explained in 1, 2, 3, 4 adjectives. Okay, so kīdruṣam gajananam. The kīdruṣam means what kind of gajanana. That means you are expecting the answer will be in the form of some explanatory words or adjectives. Okay, the next 4 words are the adjectives for gajanana. What kind of gajanana? Agajanana padmarkam, one of the adjective. We will explain that. Okay, then the second adjective is bhaktanam anekadam, the one who gives everything to the devotees. Okay, whatever they ask. Bhaktanam, to the devotees, anekadam, gives many. Aneka is many. So whatever they ask, he gives. That is the prayer. Then the third adjective is ekadantam, the one with the one tooth or one tusk. Tam gajananam. So the question was kīdruṣam gajananam. What kind of gajanana? So 1, 2, 3 adjectives to explain that gajanana. Then upasmahe. When do you upasmahe? Kada. When do we upasmahe? When do we meditate upon? Kada. Kada is when. Aharnisham. Answer is aharnisham. Day and night means always. Okay. So now from this verse form, we have a sentence form. How does the sentence look like? Okay. Agajanana padmarkam bhaktanam anekadam ekadantam tam gajananam vayam aharnisham upasmahe. Okay. So in the prose order, the agajanana padmarka, we will see the meaning. Then one who gives everything the devotees ask for, the one with one tooth, that gajanana we worship day and night. Okay, the verses, the words, all the words explained in here are there. And if you have to supply any word to make the prose meaning complete, then the procedure is put those words you have to supply in parentheses, just to indicate that they are not provided, but they're implied. That is why putting in a parenthesis. Okay, so you have the anvaya. Then you write the tatparya in your own language, English or whichever language. Here we do it in English. Okay, so just like padartha, I didn't put that in detail because we will know the English meaning once we analyze each of the words grammatically. Okay, then the Vyakarana part. Okay, so the Vyakarana part, once we're done with the Vyakarana part, then the Tatparya and the word meanings will become much clearer. Let's look at the Vyakarana part. The first part in the Vyakarana is Sandhi. Okay, as I mentioned, there is only one Sandhi. So Sandhi is Anekadam, tam becomes Anekadantam. Okay, this is the name of the Sandhi. We will talk about this Sandhi towards the end of book, the first book we study, which is volume 2, because it's a consonant Sandhi. It will come towards the end of the Sandhi. Okay, so this is the name of the Sandhi. similar, there is different sandhis. Sandhis like change how the words are pronounced differently when they combined. So the name of that sandhi is Parasavarna Sandhi. Don't worry about it now. Now it's just a name, but the word is combined in the form of a sandhi. So there's only one sandhi. Then some of the other processes, how the word came about. The word bhakta, it's a derived word starting from verb root bhaja, bhaja sevayam. It's a verb root, and there is a pratyaya or the suffix kta. That is where we get bhaj plus kta, you will get bhakta. The changes happening that how did it, what happened to the ja, how did it become ka, all those things we will discuss when we discuss that pratyaya kta. It is a very popular pratyaya, so it will be discussed in book 3. Okay, so bhaj plus kta pratyaya gives the pratipadika bhakta, and that bhakta pratipadika, its shashti vibhakti is bhaktanam, tesham means theirs. Bhakta, theirs. Tesham is bhaktanam. This is how you explain how the word kta came about. Okay, so next step there, grammatic step, is samāsas. Okay, this is the little fun part. Now, the word we are doing here, the samasa, the longest word there is Agajanana Padmarkam. So the first we will find out the samasas involved in Agajanana Padmarkam. Now we are talking about Gajanana, but the first we start with Agajanana, as if it is not Gajanana, because anything starting with I is the opposite, right? Like Shanti is Ashanti, Shoka, Ashoka is opposite or absence of it. So how can we start with Agajanana when we are talking about Gajanana? Okay, that question should come, because right next you say Gajananam. So how can we say Agajanana and Gajananam? So the meaning may be not exactly from the same source. So that is what the beauty of breaking the samasa or analyzing the samasa. Now let's see how the word Agajanana Padmarka came about. Okay, and this is the reason, the samasa is the reason why I picked that specific prayer, because there are hundreds or multiple hundreds of prayers of Gajanana. I could have picked simpler ones also, but because of this samasa thing, I picked that prayer for our class. Agajanana, the first two letters aga, that is na gacchati iti agaha. Okay, in English, na gacchati, that which is not movable. Aga is immovable. Generally, what is immovable? Generally, we say the mountains are not movable. Okay, so na gacchati, does not move. Iti agaha. So it is made up of some samasa called upapada tatpurusha. We'll talk about this in book 3. Okay, so aga is parvata. Okay, age jata is agaja. Now age means in the mountains or of the mountains. Jata is born. So born of the mountains. You know all the story. Parvati is the daughter of the king of mountains, Parvata Raja. Okay, so aga is Parvata. So one who is born of Parvata is Agaja. Okay, remember, we are trying to analyze the word Agajanana Padmarka. So we covered just 3 letters. Still, we are nowhere near Ganesha yet. Next one, Agajayaha Ananam Agajananam. Okay, Anana is face. Now see that Agaja we derived Agaja as Parvati. So Parvati's face. Agajayaha. Shashti is a Shashti Vibhakti. Agaja of Parvati. Face of Parvati or Parvati's face. So Agajananam is Parvati's face. It is not referring to Ganesha at all. That is why it starts with A. Okay, Agajananam. Agajananam Padmam or Padma Iva. What does that mean? Now this is a upama. So he says the face which is like a lotus. So Parvati's face which is like a lotus. Padmam Iva, like lotus. Okay, then Agajanana Padma. Remember, the word is Agajanana Padmarkam. So it's Padma, we came up to Padma, then still there is Arka at the end. Agajanana Padmaya Arkaha. Arka is sun, as I mentioned earlier. Now we know the story, or we know that the sun has to come up for the lotus to bloom. So if you are saying Parvati's face is like a bloom, then it blooms when it sees the sun. Who is the sun? That sun is Gajanana. So Agajanana Padmaya Arkaha, the sun for Parvati's face, or he who makes Parvati's face bloom. Okay, so that is why how we get the word Agajanana Padmarka. So Agajanana Padmarka. Now this is referencing Ganesha. Okay, Gajanana. But it is going in indirect way. That Ganesha, by looking at him or looking at whom, Parvati's face blooms like a lotus. Okay. Tam Agajanana Padmarkam. So that Agajanana Padmarka we salute. Okay, that is one of the adjectives. Now then Gajanana, the word Gajanana is, again, it is a Samasapada. Gajasya Ananam. Gaja is elephant. Ananam is face. Okay. Gajasya Ananam Gajananam. Okay. Now Gajanana is elephant face, the face of the elephant. But that is not what is meant in the prayer. In the prayer, what is meant is Gajananam Iva Ananam Yasya Saha Gajananaha. Okay. The one whose face is like the face of an elephant. Okay. So there is another type of samasa. We'll discuss this samasa in detail in book 3. Okay. So now we have the derivation by samasa of Agajanana Padmarkam and Gajananam also. Let's see if there's any more samasas. Okay, yeah, there's another samasa word. Aharnisham is one word made up of 2 different words connected by samasa. Ahacha, nishacha. Aha is day, nisha is night. Cha is end. Ahacha, nishacha, day and night. It is called a dvandva samasa. Okay. Now, dvandva samasa is mentioned in Gita. You'll have familiar. Krishna says that is his favorite samasa. Okay, so all the other samasa names I put in light green color just to distinguish from the meaning of the words. Okay, now the next word we have to see is anekadam. On the analyzed or the padacheda, we got a word anekadam. So that is also made up to 2 samasas. Na ekam, anekam. Not one means many. Anekam is many. Aneka is used in the same meaning in a lot of Indian languages. Anekadam, we have the word used in the verse is anekadam. So where did the da come from? Anekan dadati iti anekadaha. Anekan means gives many. Aneka is many. Dadati gives. The one who gives more than one or more than asked for. Anekan dadati isi anekadaha. That is the pratipadika. One who gives more. Tam, that anekada. Is there any more? Okay. Another samasa word. Ekadantha. How did that word come? That came from another samasa. Bhuvi samasa. Ekaha eva dantaha yasya saha, ekaha dantaha yasya saha. Generally, we see that any elephant face has two full tusks, but here this is an exception. That is why I put the word eva, one only, or only one danta. Yasya, the one who has only one danta instead of two, is ekadantaha. Okay, so that is the derivation of the word ekadanta. In the verse, it is used ekadantam because of the vibhakti. So tam, to that Lord, ekadantam. Okay, so that is the end of the analysis, because we have done now all the steps, all the grammar steps, as well as the analysis steps, grammatical analysis steps. So this is the end of the slideshows. Okay, and in the next class, we are going to get into the textbook. Okay, so Enjoyable Sanskrit Grammar, Volume 2, which is pronunciation or phonetics and sandhi. So have that book handy when you attend the class, hard copy or soft copy. So we will go verbatim in the book. We'll cover everything and maybe give some more details. In the first book, we will not skip anything. In the second book, there may be some details we may have to skip. Some are going at too much detail. We may have to skip some of those. But in book 1, which is sandhi and pronunciation, we will follow it verbatim.
So we are starting with book 2 first, and
Yes,
then
we will starting with book 2.
okay, and then
Okay.
go on.
Right, because book 2 gives the even the aksharas and pronunciation. Also, that is the right one to start with. Okay, and I have some other slides. This is just background information I had in the slides. So this is some of the things like how people studied the Vedas and all the mantras without losing even a syllable. So I mentioned, I think briefly sometime, there are 11 different ways of reciting a mantra. And if one who can recite all the 11 different ways, he will never make a mistake. Okay, so that there are 11 different ways. This is called different pathas. So Samhita Patha is reading as it is written. Then Pada Patha, like breaking the sandhis. We'll take a simple prayer. Namah Shivaya Cha. Okay, prayer is just 3 words. But look at the amount of practice they had to do, like one who studies Vedas. So they have to practice this in all these different ways so that no information is lost. And when they pronounce this, all the sandhi rules has to be applied. Okay, Padapata is simpler. You just break into individual words. Namah Shivaya Cha, 3 words. Namaha, 1 word. Shivaya, 2nd word. Cha, 3rd word. Okay. Then there's a thing called Kramapata. Then you read the words in pairs. 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4. And when you say 1, 2, then if there is a possibility of sandhi, you have to make the sandhi. So Namaha Shivaya will become Namah Shivaya. When you break the words, then it is Namaha, because separate word. Shivaya, separate word. Whereas here you are combining 1, 2 combination. Namah Shivaya, then Shivaya Cha. If there's more words, you combine in pairs. And then there's another kind of pata. You go see that order. 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 3. And that is a sentence, like a pause. And then take the next 2 in pairs. So that is how it goes. So that way, there are 11 different ways people by hearted to remember. That is how they could remember without losing any information. You can see the complexity, and the Ganapata is the most complicated. You can see that 1, 2, 2, 1, the 2 letters back and forth, forward and reverse. Then you take first 3 words and then make them change the order. So because of all this, They have never lost any piece of information on that. So Ganapada is the most hard, and some people have get titles that they are Ganapati. That means they are well versed in reciting Vedas in all different combination ways. And there's an example of this is available in Mantra Pushpam. I think most people are familiar with the Mantra Pushpam. Towards the end, there is an example of, at least the version I have is, it is in page 315 to 344. Okay, so I think they have taken a different mantra, but explained all the steps in this way. Okay, so we will stop here and continue next class. So next class, we will be getting into the textbook, start with the pronunciation chapter 1 in Enjoyable Sanskrit Grammar, volume 2. So let's do the concluding prayer. And then pause for any questions, because I don't want to miss the prayer. Okay, maybe one or two of you can unmute and join for the prayer. Okay, let's say Prem Khilnani ji. And I see Vipul Patel. You two unmute and join me in the prayer. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet, Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya, Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Harihi Om. Okay, now if anybody has any questions, unmute yourself and ask.
Jagdish,
This is Ram.
Okay, Ram, go ahead. And then...
Yeah, it's in sandhis. Given a word, you can break the word with a different sandhi rule and get a different meaning, correct?
No, you can't break one word. When two words are combined by means of sandhi, then only you can break. You can't break
Yes,
a
yes.
word.
No, I understand that.
Yeah,
What I'm saying is, given a compound, a word,
okay.
can the sandhi rule be applied different and get a different meaning for the same?
Sandhi, no. In samasa, yes.
Okay, okay. So
Okay.
then it is, then and if I read any, if in future when you read a bhashyam,
Yeah.
you can get two different meanings because of interpretation of the breaking the samasa, correct?
Breaking of the samasa. So you have to see whether the words are joined just by sandhi or whether by samasa. Now, whenever the words are joined by samasa, sandhi will automatically happen if there is a scope.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And there are characteristics when you can say whether they are connected by sandhi or samasa. We'll come to that when we come to samasa part.
Okay,
Without that knowledge, you will not be able to break. But between sandhi and samasa, sandhi, generally there is only one way to break. But whereas samasa, there are multiple ways to break. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Arun Swami, I have a question.
Thank you for taking my question. So the question is, it appears to me, and I may be wrong, that in order to break it, even for a sandhi, sometimes you have to know the meaning of the word. For example, just by inspection, I would have drawn a similarity between anekadantam and ekadantam. So I would have thought ekadantam also is a samasa, but it is not.
Ekadantam is a samasa. Anekadantam also is samasa. We discussed both of those.
Okay, so you have to know though that it is samasa, right?
Huh?
You have to know that it's a samasa. Yeah.
Yes, you have to know the meaning.
Okay.
And a little more to decide whether it is joined by sandhi or samasa, so whether you can assign different meanings or not.
Okay, that's what I
Okay,
thought.
that is the fun part, and that's the idea. We are studying this language to get into that stage. Okay, Bhanu Rajesh. Have a
Hare Om
question?
Jagdishaji. So the on the slide where we learned the shloka,
Yeah.
Agajanana Padmarkam,
Hmm.
that, and in step 1, the im is denoted differently. One has a dot, the other one has the little slang. Is there a rule when to use a dot?
Let me see. Let me see which one. Okay, I have that slide. Which
The
line?
very first word.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agajanana Padmarkam. There it is denoted, the im is denoted with a.
Oh, I see. Okay. That is simpler. Now that is that the dot is called anuswara. Okay.
Okay.
So you use the dot if it is not end of the sentence, or the next word is starting with the vowel. Then you use the dot. If it is the end of the sentence, then you have to write m.
Okay.
Clear?
So,
Because you can see that aharnisham is makara is spelled because it's end of the line, because you see a period there.
Okay.
The danda is equivalent of a full stop.
Oh, and then in step 1, the same word has a danda. Is it because we are breaking the words?
We are breaking the word, right?
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Because padacheda means you separate the word. Maybe it's better for me to put a period after each of those words. That is why.
Thank you.
Okay, good point. We will talk about this procedure when we come to the Vyanjana Sandhi, specifically about Anuswara, when to write ma and when not to write. Okay, any other questions?
Thank you.
Jagdishaji, one more question, sorry. This is Rajesh.
Yeah.
So, aneka dam tam,
Yeah.
the anuswara is an N, is pronounced like an N.
Okay, here
When
it
it's
is pronounced
written-
like an N because there is a sandhi called pararupa, because the next letter is a ta, right?
Mhm.
So the anuswara will become the nasal of the ta group.
Okay.
That is why anekadantam. It becomes anekadantam.
But why
When
is
we
it
make
not
that
written
sandhi.
as an anuswara there? Why is it written as an N or N?
Yeah, because of the sandhi.
Okay.
Okay. If you are not making the sandhi, then you write anekadam tam.
Okay.
Okay. If you are making the sandhi, then you make it anekadantam.
Okay. Thank you, Jagdish.
Okay. And for chanting fluently, making the sandhi makes it fluent. Okay. Any more questions?
Yeah, I have 2 questions.
Okay.
This is so we were talking about the anuswara for im. Isn't it true that you write when there are 2 words next to each other and one word, the first word ends with im? If the next word starts with a vowel, then you write the im. Whereas if it starts with a consonant, then you just put a dot in there.
Dot, right.
Okay. Right. So the other
Second
one,
question? Yeah.
the other question is in 4a, kam upasmahe. Now, what's the difference between kam and kim?
Oh, okay. Kam is like whom? It is a person or a male. Kam is pullinga dvivachana.
Okay.
Kim is napumsakalinga. Okay, because we are talking about upasmahe. Whom do you worship? So that is why you have to use kam upasmahe. And that which you are meditating upon, if that is a neuter noun, then you say kim. Okay, now here it is Gajanana. We said that Gajanana is a pullinga. That is why it is kam. that clear?
Got it.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay, there are no more questions, so let's call it a day. Good night, everybody. Sarvesham Shubharatrihi.
Shubharatri.
Shubharatri. Thank you.
Shubhratrihi.
धन्यवादः Jagadishi.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is Chandu.
okay.
So, you know,
About to push the end meeting call. Good.
okay. I'm actually now I can read and all these things, but I'm not able to comprehend these upasargas, how to
That's
break.
okay. This is just the introduction of the terminology. We will talk about those when we come to the textbook, because we are not into the book yet.
Okay. For example, when you are breaking that akajanana padma, I'm not able to understand anything. You are simply breaking it into pieces and talking like ekavachanam, dvivachanam, bahuvachanam. And of course, I can understand when you say padacheda, it's same thing in Telugu also. We are simply dividing into words.
Yeah.
Pratipadika, it's a base. I can understand.
Noun base.
Noun base. A lot of things I can understand. But when you say upasarga and all these things.
Because we haven't covered those yet. I just introduced the terminology.
Okay.
And because we are not into the textbook yet, so we haven't started the course actually.
Oh, okay. So when we start that book, then it makes sense.
Yes, because all these terminology as mentioned now, they are going to come and we are going to get into more details of those in the textbook.
Okay, that way we can learn it.
Yes.
Right now, even if it doesn't make sense, 80% of the time it's okay.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense unless you have taken some basic course earlier and maybe missed some time in the middle. Otherwise, but with this, you can say that, there is a word base. You can add something before that, you get a new verb. That's the whole idea of mentioning what upasarga is.
Okay, prefix and suffix.
Yes.
Okay, dhatu, I can understand, verb root.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Jagdishi.
Okay. Hari Om.
Thank you, Hari Om.